Hey guys, James here again, and today we're going to be doing a review finally on something that's featured on the channel many times but just hasn't got its own little spotlight, and that is the Hawke Sidewinder. Now this is, in my opinion, one of the best scopes that Hawke do. Now I've owned the Air Max previously, I've got 5 of the Sidewinders, and then we've had various, I've had the Panorama, the Night Eye Digi, which was an amazing scope. The blue reticule on that was superb, and then a couple other Hawkes as well, but I've decided to stick with the Sidewinder. Now, as I say, I have used these in the farm, well, say in the farm, on the farm, I've used them at the club, and I've also got one fitted to my Viroc, which you hopefully see now, which is a slightly different model, but it's got a 56mm objective, so it's really, really good for sort of low light conditions, etc. And you can see I've got the target wheel on there as well. Now, that was my first kind of Sidewinder, and we've gone from there, and we've gone back to this. Now, this is the low profile TAC 30. Now, for rifles such as the Impact, which you can see here, and also my Wildcat as well, which has also got a Sidewinder fitted on it, it's really good. The low profile keeps the weight down. I don't need to worry too much about low light conditions because that's where the Viroc comes in. And you still get a really good peripheral vision on it as well. So although it's a smaller objective, you still do get to go. Now, unlike previous videos that you might have seen, I know Matt's done a really good review on the Sidewinder where he shows the version that came in the old case. For any of you that have owned them over the years, they came in a case. Well, we've now moved across to it's like a white box, still really nicely packaged, and inside the box we've got a sunshade, which is almost like one of the just an extension to keep the sun away from the actual objective itself. You've got a couple of tools as well for taking off the included flip-up covers. If you remember on the old Sidewinders, it was just a screw-on lens. You now get flip-up covers, which is a really nice feature. And then also just the usual instructions, user manual, a couple of little Allen keys as well for adjusting the turrets, but we'll go on to that in a little while. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go into a couple of the tech sort of details for this one. Now this is the 8.5 to 25 by 42. So this is one of the higher magnifications of the TAC 30 that they do. I think it's a 6.5 to 20, which is the other one, which is what's on the Wildcat. Now this one here comes with a 30mm tube, so even in low light conditions, as I hinted earlier, these scopes hold their own. Now, a couple of the guys that shoot with us have got Swarovski scopes, Zeiss scopes, etc. And even sort of in later evening conditions, they still said this was kind of holding its own and competing with the best. Now, you do get to adjust with these really, really nice turrets, both the windage and also the elevation. And then on this side, also included, you do get the smaller tactical wheel. Now, as you would have seen a second ago with the Hawke that I've got mounted on the Viroc, I've got the big target wheel on there. But for this one, I just keep it nice and small. Doesn't really need to be too in your way. Now, one thing that you also get with the Sidewinder, which I really quite like, is, as I say, it is very good in low light conditions. The only thing that you tend to notice is that the reticule will get lost on a dark background. So this is where this comes in. Now you can adjust, there's 5 different light settings for red and also for green, and then obviously you just turn off. Now on a lower background or a lower sort of lightness background, as I say, it's very easy for your reticule to get lost. So to have the option of being able to put on a bit of magnification just gets you a little bit more time before having to swap over to night vision. So it's one of those things. It doesn't get used very often because I just don't need to, but it's a really nice feature to have. Now moving forward, you can see obviously it's a one-piece aluminium body, and I've just got one of the little honeycomb shades. And the reason for me putting one of these on this is if I take a step back, if I put a sunshade on, the sunshade would be longer than the barrel before it's extended. So it would look a little bit silly. So I tend to just use the honeycomb shades. Now unless you're looking dead at the sun, I really rate these. I'm amazed I'm amazed they're not used more often. I very rarely see them. But they're worth their weight in gold. It is a spare optional upgrade that you have to buy. It's not overly expensive, it's about 15-20 quid if that. So what we'll do is we'll move in and take a closer look at the reticule, and yeah, let's actually look through this scope itself. Okay, so for anybody that's interested at this point, the reticule that you've got in front of you is the 20 times half mil dot. Now what that means is on 20 mag, it's going to be a true mil dot scope. So that'll work if you're really, really switched on. You can use that for range finding, etc. Now I cheat, and I use the BRC app, but we'll go into that in a moment. Now for anybody, as I say, that is interested, we are currently filming through the Eagle Vision scope camera, and we are just going to be shooting sort of at some targets here. So as you can see, the clarity during the day, I mean, we've got glorious sunshine state. It's perfect. We couldn't really ask for much more, sort of to help really kind of clarify things. Now we're currently shooting on 12 times magnification, and obviously the target there is around 35 yards. It's been paced and laser range-finded, so that's kind of the range that we're working at. Now, as I will demonstrate now with the magnification, we can just zoom in and zoom out. Hopefully that's not going to interfere too much with the camera. And also, if you give it 2 seconds just to kind of focus itself back in, the reticule. Now, I don't know how well this is going to work during the day. Obviously, this isn't low light conditions by any means, but as you can see, we can go on to green, just illuminates the reticule green, and we've got 5 stages here, so we'll just click between those 5 stages. And then we've also got red as well, and again we've got the 5 stages there, and we click through those. Now it does add a lot more kind of substance to the reticule as you're looking down the target, especially in lower light, as I keep going on about. But one thing that I really do like is if you're using night vision, if you're using night sight, etc., if you add the illumination on, that still comes through the camera, and that can just add a little bit more clarity when you're looking through. Obviously with those units you can sort of separate them, etc., and focus them on the night sight rather than on the scope. But again, that is a different video in its own right. So what we'll do is we'll just move back in and let's have a quick look around the turrets. Okay guys, so as I say, this is kind of where I think this scope sets itself out from the rest, particularly the Air Max. Now, one thing I really like is just being able to adjust my scope on the move. Now, when I'm out shooting, I've got range cards with clicks, holdovers, and I've also got the BRC app on my phone as well. So what I tend to try and do there is use it in conjunction with these turrets. Now the turrets are really easy to use. You simply pull them out, you can click rotate around and then push them down once you've finished making your adjustments. Now one thing I do like is you can see there's a small Torx setting screw on the top. If you loosen this off, it moves the drum up and then you can reset your adjustments. You can reset the drum back to 0, screw it back down, and then you've basically you haven't reset the turrets, but your numbers then match up with where you're going to be making clicks. You're not going to be sat there thinking, I'm starting on 17 clicks, I've got to add 12. Ah, bugger, maths. You're starting on 0, add your 12, undo your 12, and so on. And that works for your windage and your elevation, which is quite nice. Now, as I say, the reason I prefer the Sidewinder over the Air Max is purely this. Now, these turrets are really easy to adjust, but the Air Max, it screws on, it's got little grub screws on the outside, and they screw onto a plastic drum in the middle. Now that's fine the first time you make those adjustments, but if you can imagine, you've got a metal screw dipping into a plastic drum. Now what that's going to do is it's going to create an indent. That's what holds it in place. But if I only want to move the drum around, maybe, I don't know, a click, 2 clicks maximum, I then re-screw it. What are we left with? We're left with a little hole that the screw is just going to jump straight back into, so you do not get the fine adjustment that I think you get with the Sidewinder. That, for me personally, is why I have stuck with the Sidewinder throughout. Now, as I say, I have had an Air Max. I shoot with a guy that does have the Air Max. They are really good scopes, don't get me wrong. If you're looking at getting an Air Max, go and get the Air Max, you will not be disappointed. But for me, personally, the benefits from this turret system over those of the Air Max outweigh any kind of advantage that you get from the optics. Now personally, they are clear scopes, they are amazingly clear scopes, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's enough of a clarity change to justify walking away from the Sidewinder. Now I know a lot of people in reviews show these in air rifles, you know, me, I've changed the gun, but it's still an air gun. I'm guilty of it as well. But these are rated for rimfire, centrefire, and yeah, I don't doubt it for a second. Build quality on these is really good. Now, recently, for the first time in the years I've had Hawke, I've had to use the warranty. Now, I had a problem with one of the turrets on one of the new TAC 30s. The body had, when I took it out of the box, the body was sort of slightly dented on the bottom. So I could still click around, but I couldn't put the turret in to reset it. Now, it wasn't a massive problem, but Hawke were very kind to do it under warranty. They've changed it, you know, good as gold, really. Now, it went away and it came back to me within a week. So it's not bad at all. I think I took it in on a Thursday night. The guys from the gun room down in Ivebridge, which is where I get all my stuff from, basically said, we'll send it off, you know, as soon as. So I think it went off on the Friday. I think it got to them on the Monday. And I had it back on my rifle We fitted it to the impact, the one you saw earlier. Had that back on the rifle by Saturday, which was yesterday. So that is less than 5 working days pretty much. They would have had it less because postage and whatnot. So I was really impressed. Now, I've heard a lot about the warranty. It's a 10-year warranty on these scopes, but as I say, it's one of those things you hope that you never have to use. But seeing as I have, the guys at Hawke UK, which I believe part of Deben, were absolutely brilliant. So if you are watching, guys, thank you very, very much for sorting me out on that one. Now, one thing I really do like about sort of the Hawke setup as such is because I've been using it for so long, I've got the apps weighed down to a T. Now, as I say, I carry little range cards around with me when we're out shooting. I keep those in my bag. I keep them, I've got a little shooting bag as well, my little DIY kit. And I've also always got my phone on me as well, and that's got BRC, which is a little software there. You can show your holdovers, you turn your phone sideways, it shows you the clicks. And then also on the computer at home, I've also got Chair Gun, which is a slightly more in-depth version. That's what I've made the target cards from. So I know a lot of other companies have those. You know, you might be saying, you know, Vortex have got it, MTC have got it, ATN have even got a system now that works with a rangefinder and the X-Sight, which, yes, everybody's now doing it, but Hawke, for me, were the ones that started doing it sort of the first, and I have been using it for the longest over any other system, and I've got to give it its credit, it is fairly accurate. We do all of our shooting off these cards, near enough. The 100-yard egg shot that you would have seen in the video that we did not too long ago, that was all done off the range cards. You can actually see me looking down at the range cards next to me. The long range shot that I did down in Cyprus, again, that was all calculated off Chair Gun. You know, it's just one of those systems that works, and that's why with Hawke, you don't just buy the scope, you don't just get, like, you know, the spare battery, the sunshade, sort of the gimmicky freebies. You actually get a whole package, and that for me is part of the reason I've stuck with Hawke so long. So anyway, let's move into conclusion and final thoughts. Now, this isn't a sponsored video, it's not a paid video. All the scopes you see here today, I've had to work stupid amounts of overtime to afford. Now, they start anywhere from, I think it's about £380 upwards price-wise. This one here, I think, put me back about £400. The TAC 30 is a little bit more, and then they've got the ED, which is their new flagship model. You're looking at £800+ on that. Now, in that price territory, you're in Vortex territory, you're in Zeiss territory, to name but a few. Whether it holds its own at that kind of price point against those competitors, I don't know. But for the money, I really cannot fault it. As I say, these will be staying on my air rifles regardless. I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to put on my my HMR. I've got one of those turning up, so I'm still deciding what I'm going to put on there. But as I say, we'll cross that bridge as and when we get there. So if you do have any questions, any comments, anything like that, feel free to put them in the comments box below. I will get back to every single one of you, providing it's a comment I can actually reply to. If you want to see more, obviously we'll have this rifle, we'll have the Impact, which is just sat down there, coming up very shortly as well. Feel free to subscribe, like the page over on Facebook as well. Got plenty more pictures and bits and pieces and all sorts coming up. So if you want to keep in touch with all that, like and subscribe. As I say, apart from that, feel free to post any comments. Huge thank you for watching again, and yeah, we will see you next time.